Hello everyone, welcome to GGN. Today is Tuesday, April 2nd, 2013. I'm Darko. My website is ggnonline.com. Still having issues there, but for whatever it's worth, YouTube, ddarko2012 and ddarko2013 are my YouTube channels. So I'll be able to hopefully put the headlines and links in YouTube's video description as long as I don't have technical issues. Number of teens expecting to depend on parents into adulthood has doubled since 2011. We just ended up with some articles just talking about flash mobs starting up as the weather is getting warm. Also, you know, these teenagers have some kind of thing about beating the hell out of and burning homeless people. I think that's part of societal programming. But for whatever it's worth, these same teens are going to end up in the same position, right? Homeless. So it's just kind of ironic. But they're taught to see as, someone that's homeless is a failure of the capitalist system, not pulling their weight. The fact is that, like I said before, if you have a job, that means that somebody else does not have a job. So it's much like the usury system. It's the Federal Reserve's fractional reserve scam, or whatever they call it. It says, and what could be an indicator of either a massive drop in teens' financial prospects or the fact that teens today are getting more realistic about their financial futures. A new survey shows that the percentage of teenagers who expect to remain dependent on mom and dad or until at least the age 27 has doubled in just the last 2 years. It said in 2011, only 12% of respondents said they would probably be financially dependent on a parent guardian till the age of 27. According to the newly released 2013 survey, the rate now stands at 25%. Meanwhile, those who are completely unsure of when or if they will ever be dependent has jumped from 1% in 2011 to 11% in 2013. Number of unemployed in the Eurozone hits the highest level since they began to keep records. He says we're just talking about what a disaster the Eurozone economy was, and here's more evidence. Unemployment, 12%, same as the last time. Record high of nearly 50 million Americans on food stamps. Figures show that poverty is on the rise in the U.S. as the number of people receiving food stamps has soared to a record high of almost 50 million Americans. It says here it's increased by 70% since 2008. It says this means a staggering 15% of the American population is receiving food stamps, which is almost double the rate of 1975. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the number of people receiving food stamps tends to correspond to the number of citizens living in poverty, with nearly 1 in 6 Americans. Thousands more Americans are losing their homes this year, with 1.5 million properties taken by banks, up 9% on 2012. The number of foreclosed bank seized homes, has risen by 9% already this year. 1.5 million properties currently being lost by homeowners who can no longer afford them. This California-based Realty Track says a further 10.9 million American homeowners are at risk because they owe more than their property is worth. They're dubbed zombie foreclosures. There are thousands of properties that are stuck in limbo as banks haven't sold them on, but owners have abandoned them. U.S. inequality will define the Obama era. Barack Obama has said the biggest goal is to revive the U.S. middle class. He says our country cannot succeed when a shrinking few do very well and a growing many barely make it. It remains to be seen whether higher inequality lowers the U.S. growth rate, as Mr. Obama hinted, as some economists fear. The chances are that it does. Either way, Mr. Obama will or has been unable to fix America's most unequal distribution of income since the 1920s. In June, the U.S. will enter its 5th year of post-financial crisis recovery. However, each year has brought slightly lower middle-class incomes and less. Like I said, that's why I call it a wealth consolidation and financial integration, basically, or political integration operation of 2008. That's, so everything just shows that that's what it should be called. Stockton goes bankrupt, precedent-setting implications. One of the most dangerous cities in America has just declared bankruptcy, leaving creditors out of hundreds of millions of dollars. So, during the wealth consolidation operation, it says here that they experienced a 70% decline in the city's tax base. California now has a negative net worth of $127 billion. This is according to a new financial report. It says here that that number doesn't account for unfunded liabilities for the state employees' future pensions. Hispanics to become a majority ethnic group in California next year. It says California's population is experiencing a cultural makeover. The troubled economy is driving out the middle class to more prosperous areas of the country. Now the future of America's most populous state belongs more to immigrants than ever before. So I think it originally belonged to them anyways. So I guess when they're going to hand it back to them, they'll give it to them. Give it to them. Here's California. You can have it. It's bankrupt. Casino economics, how the S&P 500 endured two 50% dips in the 2000s and sent the middle class packing. It said it took the S&P 500 about 13 years to get back to where it was in 2000. Of course, the power of inflation has taken an even deeper toll on this trend. The stock market is largely a spectacle for most average Americans, a dramatic slideshow like going to the track and betting on horses. That's right, I heard that on the radio today. He's talking about health insurance, raising stocks, it's just like... The reality is most Americans do not own any sizable amount of stocks or hard assets for that matter. 1 out of 3 Americans have no savings, and about half of Americans are one paycheck away from being on food stamps. By the way, 47 million Americans are still on food stamps in this recovery, they call it. So it says here the stock market over the last few decades has operated like a casino, swinging from one bubble to another. This is, of course, if you look at Chota Boy 66, his channel, and that he goes through all this. It's just it's money laundering. That's why they created BRICS. Created the BRIC. It's just another way to launder money from people's hard work. The people take all the risk. By signing a piece of paper saying that they're gonna pay this off. And these banks are making money off of it, and then when they foreclose, the banks could sell the house, they could still make money off of it. So they have no risk. The person that signs a piece of paper is always taking the risk. And he's the one that's actually producing something. But he has to pay to do this. That's what's just so unbelievable. So they can only steal so much. And that's what they're talking about, going from bubble to bubble. And that's why right now, Australia and China are starting to not use the US dollar, kind of like China and Russia, because you can only mask stealing and stealing the wealth of that for so long. So now they're going to steal the wealth in Australia and China. It says, after every subsequent bust, middle-class households have seen a chunk of their standard of living diminish. This is not hyperbole because simply looking at the census data, adjusting for inflation, a median household income is back to where it was in the mid-90s. In fact, the S&P has endured 2 dips of 50+% between 2000 and 2010, both precipitated by bubbles. Can the average American compete in casino economics? So you can go in there and check it out. On to Cyprus. Cyprus-style bail-ins are proposed in the new 2013 Canadian government budget. We've already pretty much covered this, but they're wanting to do the same thing in Canada about raiding people's private accounts and that. Bomb from Brussels, Cyprus model may gain future bank bailouts. So it says here the Cyprus bailout could become a model for the future. Ben Shalom Bernanke of the Federal Reserve says bank account seizure unlikely in the United States. This highlight clip from Bernanke's press conference last week runs 2 minutes, and it takes Ben nearly that long to answer the question before finally in the last 10 seconds he says it's extremely unlikely to happen in the United States. He does not say, however, that taxing or seizing assets from bank accounts is impossible. Says this is a door left wide open. 5 of 10 top economies in the world dropped the dollar. The U.S. dollar is quickly losing its status as the world reserve currency. 5 of the top 10 economies in the world, plus a few others, no longer use the dollar as an intermediary currency for trade. This trend poses a huge risk to the dollar and the United States along with it. The United States corporation, the slaves to it, I don't know. But I would imagine it'd be the debt slaves, right? It's interesting because back, March 29th, President of Cyprus says his country was a Euro experiment. In a speech dealing with criticism of Europe's currency union for experimenting with the island's fate, the President of Cyprus has said the risk of bankruptcy has been contained and it has no intention of leaving the Euro. And 2 days later, there was this from the 31st. Cyprus Parliament President says no future under Troika, calls for Iceland's solution. He says if we remain bound by the Troika and the memorandum, Cyprus's destiny is already foretold and there will be no future. From the 31st, Cyprus Precedent-related company transfers 21 million euros to London prior to bailout agreement. So this is similar to some of the Russian billionaires. They were able to pull out a lot of their money. Company owned by in-laws of the Cyprus president wired 21 million euros from this Lockheed Bank to London days before the Eurogroup's crisis triggering levy proposal, claims that Cyprus newspaper. And here you go. Cyprus finance minister resigns amid crisis probe. The finance minister resigned Tuesday after less than 5 weeks in the job as the government begins an investigation into how the country's economy nearly collapsed last month. So basically, Greece is on the auction block, the country seeking bidders to sell off its railroad infrastructure by early 2014. There's anger as Amazon introduces punishing fee hikes for third-party traders who generate millions for the online giant. Small traders selling DVDs and tires through Amazon among those affected. It says UK sellers offering electronic accessories will see fees rise from 7 to 12%. It goes on and says hikes imposed amid concern over growing dominance of internet giant. Amazon has been accused of extortion by raising fees by up to 70% for companies that sell through its website. The online retailer is to increase the commission on all electronic goods sold on its marketplace section from 7.5% to 12%, it says here from Thursday. It's like I said before, I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon is a government-run operation, you know, kind of like Google and YouTube, and they can just do whatever the hell they want. Speaking of government operations, you know, I think Walmart is another one, right? And they, you know, these people are rich and stuff that manage it, but you know, these Walmarts will be turned into FEMA camps if need be, and they're already battle hardened. They don't have any windows, I think, at all. They have little citadels and where they have snipers and stuff, and you know, I've actually seen the guard towers in Walmart parking lots and Target parking lots, so they're ready. Cameras everywhere. Walmart may get customers to deliver packages to online buyers. Walmart stores is basically Walmart is considering a radical plan to have store customers deliver packages to online buyers. A new twist on speedier delivery services that the company hopes will enable it to better compete with Amazon. See, so they have to have some kind of competition, otherwise, you know, with just monopolies and that, it'll just crumble. They call it crowdsourcing or the sharing economy. Tapping customers to deliver goods would put the Walmart squarely in the middle of the new phenomenon. But hidden behind the whole thing with Amazon, I just remembered, was that they, for the most part, they weren't taxed. Then Illinois started taxing Amazon, and other places started taxing Amazon. They said they were going to leave, and they were just going to leave the state. So it's like everything else. They're just going to offset the cost onto the consumer and these small businesses. Says here, where are your clothes made? Confusing slogan says manufactured in the glamorous USA, but tags read made in Vietnam. So there it is. Going up here, it says Juicy Couture has been called out for using misleading country of origin labels on garments. The Made in USA mark is a country of origin label indicating that the product is all or virtually all made in the U.S., and it's heavily regulated by the FTC. According to the FTC, a business does not need approval before making the Made in USA claim, but their claim should be truthful and substantiated. So a little bit of doublespeak there. Airline charges passengers by the pound. Samoa Air starts controversial new policy. They say here that passengers are going to be charged by their weight. Rates start at $1 per kilo, which includes the weight of both the flyer and her baggage. The CEO explains why it's fair. He says people have always traveled on the basis of a seat, but as any airline operator knows, airplanes don't run on seats, they run on weight. This Ryanair recently urged its crew members to slim down and attempt to cut costs. It also said it would be good for families who have lightweight children. Well, that's assuming that there's not a bunch of obese goms out there. Florida County spends tens of thousands on ambulances for obese patients. Orange County Fire and Rescue spends tens of thousands for ambulance transports patients up to 1,100 pounds. They're purchased after emergency responders had to transport at least 24 patients who weighed more than 500 pounds last year. With some of these morbidly obese patients, we have to send more firefighters just to lift and move the patients. Then you have trooper fired for offering Florida lawmaker a break on speeding ticket. And they say they don't have quotas, right? They're holding a ticket writing competition, or they did, for a pizza prize. This is GGN. I'm Darko. Thank you.